We're starting off high.
We can get a two fools agree on that one. Oh, by the way, look, we got the wide shot. Ah!
You had accountability. Now, what I can...
Now all you need is a podcast and a YouTube channel.
No, not even.
Where, give me the money. Show me the money.
Apparently there's a Foolproof page.
Shoot the J. Shoot it. Live on Facebook.com/Foolproof Entertainment Network. I need you on Twitter. I need you to repost the Facebook pages.
To raise a human before I would
trust a human to raise back wolves.
Before I would trust a human to raise wolves.
Right. I hear you. Yo, what up, fools? Welcome to another edition of Do Fools Agree. As always, I'm your host, Michael Reggie, here with my main man, Clifford Jordan Jennings.
Hola.
And friend of the show, back once again, always here to keep us in line. Sam rejoins us. How you doing, Sam?
I'm good. I also need you to know that that's the first time I've heard that intro, I think.
Oh, yeah?
Since you guys started this podcast. Because I'm like, fast forward.
You skipped through it.
For 75 seconds.
Now, let me
get to the actual inadvertence and start the show.
Let me warn you. Let me tell you. I have done a better job with that. I have gone back now, and on the podcast version, it only plays like 15 seconds of the intro now.
Oh, nice.
On the song.
Okay.
So like
when I get to the more recent ones in my listen through.
I think I did. I think I started
I'm 2 weeks behind now.
Gotcha. I think I started doing that like towards the end of January, beginning of February. And the only reason I know that is because Cliff calls me out on the show on it, I think, at one point, because he thinks that I'm cutting off the YouTube version.
Oh, gotcha. No, that one, and I think you take them out of there now, because I don't remember it being a thing the last time I listened to one.
The anchor ad?
Skipped it. Was the break.
Oh, yeah.
Where it's just silent for 5 minutes, where people like pee and get another beer.
Well, we used to have a song that played there, but sometimes the song didn't go long enough, and it's supposed to be looped.
Well, if you're in a podcast,
I don't know.
That's hold music.
No, I completely.
The bank, what's happening?
I completely agree. So I've gotten better
with
the
elevator,
right?
Please
hold.
The music was always better than
the fools will be right back with you. Your call is
as their audience.
Your call is important to us.
Shortly.
Please stand by.
Me to drag the microphone into the bathroom with me.
I mean, do what feels right in your soul. As long as I don't need... You can take the mic, but I would prefer if you left the camera.
Right.
Just me personally.
That's fair.
That's fair. That's a fair assessment.
Right.
Feels like a reasonable boundary.
All right.
Hey, all about boundaries and communication here.
Exactly.
Oh, goodness. Cliff, how was your week?
It was pretty quick.
Yeah.
It was pretty quick. I mean, a couple of days here and there that were aggravating, but
it happens.
I feel like it was quick for the most part.
Well, I'm glad. That's good. If nothing else, quick is good.
Mm-hmm.
I spent the week in interviews and certification courses, and that was probably more mentally taxing than I've had to deal with in a long time outside of, normal kind of meetings and that kind of stuff. So it was good. It was a good challenge. It's been a while since I've had to do like coursework and that kind of stuff. So, but what about you? Go
It's
ahead.
always easier the second time around.
Right, right. Well, and I was joking with Sam before you hopped on about the fact like I'm getting certified in something I've been doing for 15 years just because companies expect to see the letters on the resume. So, gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah.
What about you, Sam? How was the week?
It was good. I exist here. I spent most of it sitting right here on my couch and watching YouTube and drawing on my iPad, and that's it.
All right.
Which is honestly ideal.
Good stuff.
That's what's up.
That's what's up. I've been
Yeah.
I've been mixing in a little bit more streaming. Cliff was giving me grief earlier today about the content flood
why
on YouTube.
are you streaming transphobes games?
Okay,
I
so
have
questions.
you obviously
I
did
have
not.
questions.
No, you obviously did not watch it.
She said
I didn't. I literally saw the
again.
cover and went, "God damn it, Mike!" and kept scrolling.
So, first of all, you should read Maddie's take on the game, and I think you'd appreciate it more coming from Maddie. So go find it on Facebook.
It's not about the quality of the game, of course, but I will read what she wrote.
But two, it is also and I'm sure this is done for them to kind of CYA, but there is clearly a trans bartender in the game who plays a very major role, and they actually don't address the fact that she's trans. And I thought that was a good way to handle it, to include a trans character but not call attention to it. That's my take. I encourage you to read Maddie's take.
It's literally, to me, not even about the game.
No, I understand it's about
who the
JK, and
money's
I get that. But at the end of the day, those license deals were in place long before. And
Cliff has a very good question.
How do you know that it was a trans? How you know it wasn't like a handsome woman or a
that's
man?
That's fair. That's fair, and I actually say that in the game. Like, you don't know for sure. However, the voice, the way they carry themselves, it feels like a representation of trans folks without having to actually call out that they're trans. And Sam, I don't know. I'm not trans, so I'm not going to presume to say anything, but that feels like the right way to do that kind of inclusion in a game, is to not make it a big deal.
Right.
And make them a prominent
agree.
character.
To not make it a big deal and make them a prominent character is fantastic. Once again, the game might be great. I have no idea. I'm not going to play it.
Plus, there has also not been a good RPG game in fucking 3 years.
For me, it is literally the same thing as Chick-fil-A. I don't actually, I have real problems. I don't give a fuck what sad, unseasoned chicken you want to buy. That's between you and the Lord. But I'm going to give you shit about it because I want you to acknowledge that you're doing a shitty thing.
I understand.
You're giving money to shitty people.
I don't know if it's that deep for real, because
everything we give money to is for shitty things. Let's face it. Money goes to Bezos. Money goes to Elon Musk.
You could find something wrong with everything that you purchase and consume.
Something in that supply chain is wrong.
Or whatever the case may be. So you would be asshole naked with no shoes, no phone, no nothing if you kept a tally on everything you were upset with about what you purchased.
Well, for me, it is
something to complain about. I get it.
But there is no ethical consumption under capitalism. Does not mean it doesn't matter, buy whatever you want.
Agreed.
It means do the best that you can to give your money in the best ways that you can, understanding that we are in a system set to make us use those unethical products. So do what you need to do to survive. I think Walmart is trash. They treat their employees badly. But if I'm real broke and I need to buy groceries, I'm going to Walmart because I need to eat. And so I think it's just being conscious of where your money goes. And I know that it's not that deep for some people, but when you hand money to Chick-fil-A, that goes to that corporation, which gives money to conversion therapy. So some of your money is going to torture gay kids to try to make them straight.
Right.
And if you're chill with it, that's between you and the Lord again.
Right.
But I'm not going to knowingly do that. I'm sure my money goes to all kinds of shit I just don't know about. But because I know it, I can't unknow it.
That in and of itself is fair.
Not know that information.
And if it's a personal attack, I think that's where I was talking with the Bezos and Musks of the world. At the end of the day, they're doing what every corporation does, which is lobby to protect
being
themselves and
capitalists.
bury the common person. So no
But
matter
look at
where
your
you give your
taxes.
money, what'd you say, Clip?
Look at your taxes.
Right.
That goes to the displacement of women and children all across the world with all the military funds and the dark covert missions that you're funding, and
Yeah,
nobody's gonna
I
stop paying that shit. We ain't
I
gonna
would
have another
love
tea
to-
party.
I would love to not have my taxes go to that shit, but in order to have my taxes go to the schools and the libraries and the firemen, my taxes
You need to
also
get out of
have to go
Ohio.
to war and police officers. Like, I have to pay for shit that I don't think should exist, but that is society. Whereas, one, their chicken is not good. It's like white people unseasoned chicken.
I don't like Chick-fil-A.
Two.
I don't either.
So, like, you are paying too much money for a not very good chicken sandwich, and some of that money is going to something that, for me at least, is not something that if I cannot give my money to that, I'm going to.
Okay,
Like,
so
there
you're
are
completely
options and there are
understand.
not options. And if there's a Chick-fil-A next to a Popeyes, if you have taste, you're already going to the Popeyes. But if you think they taste the same, then it costs you $0 to go to Popeyes.
switch, yeah. Well, that goes back. So
That's
your
fair.
point around a comparable product. There is no comparable product in the gaming industry right now to Hogwarts Legacy.
Oh, I'm sure that is true, but that's not like people need to eat.
No, I
You
understand.
don't need to play Hogwarts Legacy.
That's true. Well, I do because I will lose my sanity. It's for my mental health to be able to escape.
And that is, I know so many people. I know a ton of trans people who are like, I'm not giving Jake. Once again, for me, it is where the money is going. So
Yeah.
like, I still have the books. I purchased them already. I still have the DVDs. I already gave that money. If I need some comfort, it used to bring me comfort. I tried to watch it a year ago and it made me feel icky. But like, if it has that effect again, I'll watch it because she doesn't get any money from me watching the DVD I already own.
Or that you already own. She
But
already
I'm
got
not
your
going
money for
to
that.
add money to her bank account knowingly. For
You
me.
bought his glasses.
Excuse me, it's not my fault that Harry Potter looks like a lesbian.
I know
I
that's
style
right.
him. That's not my
I
problem.
know that's right. Hey, listen, something.
The Reeds chiming in on the chat with, you don't need to eat chicken.
You do need to eat. That's true.
That's true.
Like, I have a friend who takes her kids through Chick-fil-A because some days that's the only food her 5-year-old will eat.
Yeah,
I'm not going to tell a single mom not to get her child their safe food.
Those
Do
7
what
and
you need
unders
to
are
do
hard sometimes.
for you and your kid to survive, frankly. Like, that is important. But if you can not give money to people who suck, you know.
Agreed. So speaking of people who take money and suck, anybody see the news that Neuralink, Elon Musk's new neural network plug into your brain, quickly got rejected by the FDA?
Oh, I bet.
I try to avoid any news with Elon Musk in it because I just take psychic damage every time I read anything. I can't. He's the perfect example of like, oh, I don't want to be too radical because I know we need change, but like radical revolutions usually leave the most vulnerable populations like to the wayside.
Right.
So we need to find a way to like support underrepresented and marginalized communities while having a revolution. Can that exist? That's a whole other conversation. But like Bezos specifically and Musk make me want to be an eat the rich, carry a torch person. Because how are you going to have enough money to literally end world hunger and provide
not.
everyone in the world with clean water and instead just be like, look, I made a dick and it's going to go to space. Like,
Look at my
but you just have
giant
to be a
dick.
special kind of evil to have the ability to fix those big problems and just be like, like, I don't.
Now,
It's like Lex Luthor to me.
I
like,
feel-
you're just literally a supervillain.
I feel that way probably more about Bezos. Elon Musk falls into the evil, and I'm not saying that like he does the work on this stuff. So, but archetype wise, he feels more like the evil genius kind of archetype because of the stuff he works on or the stuff his company works on. And again, Do I think that he's doing that? No. I think he hires a lot of smart people who buy into the cult of Elon. But, like, the idea of neural interface technology is something out of sci-fi, and they're actually building it. Now, I don't know that it'll ever get approved by the FDA. You know, that was kind of the commentary in the articles that I was reading, was that it was very unethical in terms of their treatment of animals. More than like 1,500 monkeys, pigs, something else died as part of their trials. And the FDA said, absolutely not, you're not ready for human trials. In fact, you guys don't even know how to get something to FDA approval. But they're still doing it. So
Cliff
that
looks
feels
like
evil
he has things
genius.
cooking. I want to hear what Cliff is thinking.
Because my whole thing with that is y'all motherfuckers need an iPhone every 6 months. What's gonna happen when you get the Neuralink and they upgrade it and upgrade it and upgrade? You're gonna be getting brain surgery every fucking 6 months to keep up with the new Neuralink.
Goodness gracious.
I mean, there's a really fantastic YA novel I used to teach when I taught 8th grade called Feed, and it is about that. There's like a chip in the back of everybody's head, and they have school TM brought to you by Pepsi, and like it goes through your neurotransmitters instead of you like being in a class interacting with people. And it is very interesting because at first a lot of the students are always like, this is so cool, and then like the book is made to be like, this is not good, obviously. Right. So as they go through it, they're like, oh, I didn't think about that. Like they could just watch you all the time, and even like what you're looking at and thinking even more than they do on your phone. And I was like, yeah, okay, like we're coming together.
It's pieces. The hamsters are turning.
And then how many times a day would you just see ass on my feed? I would just be doing math problems and you would just see ass pop up and they'd be like, oh, he's thinking about ass again, huh?
Well, it's like
he's got ass on his mind.
Almost shared, like I've already almost accidentally shared Pornhub videos to Facebook because I clicked like 2 wrong things. So, like, I can't.
Why does Pornhub have a share button? That's what I want to know.
Why would you want to share, and why would Facebook be a suggestion?
Which is like, option. I do share, like, because I read a lot of fan fiction, I will share really good smut that is just smut. Like, it is clearly just porn with these characters you like in it. And if it's good, I will absolutely share it to my friends who are into that shit.
Yeah.
But the idea of sending somebody a video for some reason,
that's too far.
Like, unless that is your partner and you're sending it like, I want to try this, that's a hard no for me.
That's fair. That I will acknowledge. That
clip it like YouTube, where you can just clip the 30 seconds.
30 seconds.
Yes.
I just want this like, 10 seconds of the video. Can we try this part?
Right. Yeah. Just
go to this 238.
This specific phrase, and it was very good. I need to keep that on a loop.
This is the angle that the arch needs to be right here. Look at this clip.
Because, like, I'm pretty open about my fucked up shit, but there are some things that people do not need to know about me.
Period. I mean, that's everybody. Yeah, that's everybody. But damn you, Pornhub.
Goodness gracious. All right. Any inadvertent thoughts to get us going? Since we've been kind of on a tangent.
That's what I was like, we'll figure out things to talk about. I'll just keep talking and eventually something will come up.
I had an inadvert, but I don't know if I want to share.
You want to go there?
Yeah, I don't know if that's the direction I want to go. You know what I'm saying?
All right.
And the crazy thing is, I felt like I had the perfect inadvert. I think I was in the car, because usually I'm doing a lot better at writing them down as soon as I think of them. But because I was in the car, I didn't have anything to write with. So I'm like, and I forgot it as soon as I hit the door. I wasn't thinking about that.
You know what I've started doing?
What?
Hey Siri, take a note for me.
Do I need to? Okay.
Because that's
That
why
is-
I remember mine for today.
Because even if it's butchered talk to text, you'll
Right.
probably be able to like piece it
it
back
back
together.
Right.
So I had one today, and again, kind of tied to video games. What if all of these resource gathering video games? So I played another one today. So I've been on A-Reg and I've played Minecraft for years together now.
Right.
And I started playing Ark Survival, which the concept there is basically you're like a Neanderthal who gets dropped on an island with like dinosaurs and things, and you kind of have to like build civilization from the ground up. And again, it's resource gathering, it's crafting, it's that kind of stuff. Played another game today that was on Game Pass, 7 Days to Die, which is zombie apocalypse feel to it.
Mm-hmm.
But again, you're basically a human dropped in the woods, nothing on you, no tools, no nothing, and it's a resource gathering crafting game to kind of survive the zombie apocalypse. Is this our way that we're training the youth to deal with the soon-to-be apocalyptic future that they're going to be living in?
No.
Are kids going to be
If
able
it
to
is, it's
figure
a
things
bad
out?
Because, like, sure, they're going to know that you need clean water, but there's not going to be a clean water source hidden under the box in the second room that they found through a wiki guide.
But what
Like-
if? What if? Like some of those games do get into the depth in terms of like building a water distillery, like being able to build something where you boil it, it captures the steam, and it flows into clean drinking water. Like I don't know, how else are
think
these
we
kids going to
just-
learn survival skills at this point?
I think at this point, we as a society just get like obsessed with something for a while.
Yeah.
It was vampires, and then it was zombies, and now I feel like the zombie train is kind of ending. It might get a resurgence with Last of Us, but it's like kind of teetering out, and now we're getting into apocalypse.
Yeah, we're coming back around to
Always-
apocalyptic.
You can always like tell what's coming because for some reason YA authors are always like way ahead of the curve. So
Yeah.
there was Hunger Games and Divergent and all those like dystopian, we gotta have a revolution shit. And we are starting to become, I think, as a culture, kind of obsessed with that idea because no matter what side of the aisle you on, you're not like happy.
You're not happy with
So
where
while,
things are.
while
Yeah.
what you want it to be might be different. Like, I don't know a lot of people who are like, actually, things are going really good. I'm really happy with where we are right now. I don't know anyone who feels that way.
We as a society
like,
are pretty great right
People
now.
who pay no attention.
I don't know if our current culture would accept anything apocalypse alone.
Say more.
Like I feel like you have to have something else to capture their attention. You know what I mean? Just the end of the world isn't enough. What else is going on?
Right.
That's why you get all these, like when you do get a what's it called? Original movie. It's like making a kid on a planet with a shark and a
Are you talking
lava
about Shark
girl.
Boy and Lava
You know what I'm saying? Like it's like weird shit. Like because
I can
they're
tell
just
exactly what
adding-
age your child is from that being your reference point.
They're just adding shit to shit, though. You know what I mean? Like it's like
Yeah.
So if it's just the end of the world, it's like okay. So what else, though? Like
I mean, it's very the revolution will not be televised, right? Like, this is not what we're going to be focusing on because we're focusing on other things. I do also think that that is a like capitalism thing. Like, there's a little poem I saw going around that was like, you talk about the end of the world, but honey, there's dishes to do. And it was just like, I don't have time to think
deal
about
with the
revolution
bigger
when I'm
things.
trying to feed my kids. And I don't have time. Like, there is a reason
Yeah, that's
that we are very purposefully overworked and underpaid and exhausted.
Yeah,
in
it's
my opinion,
it's
my
situational
leftist
design.
Conspiracy brain.
no, but it
um,
is. That's situational design.
It is made to be that way because it is hard to protest when you can't take a day off work because you're an hourly wage employee and you already make below the living wage. Like, how do we have a revolution when, you know, landlords can be like, hey, I know there's a pandemic and a bunch of people lost their jobs, but like, I'm suffering, so I have
gotta
to
go
No, I'm
for
gonna-
the landlords first. That's That's the first step. The landlord.
Let me tell you, I think that's a great idea.
Then the next step, then we'll start.
There is not a landlords suck so bad. Landlords are leeches. They're like, I was rich once, and now I'm just using it to steal your money. You pay my mortgage, bitch. Like, no, fuck off.
I mean, that's the game, though, I guess.
I mean, I pay my $1,300 a rent every single month. So.
But I tell you what, if there was
survive.
a foot in the door of the revolution, it would be the landlord.
I think you're right, actually. Because a lot of like middle class people get real intense when you hate on rich people, because like the great lie of the American dream is that you could one day be the rich people, so you don't want to overtax them, because what about when you're a rich person? Even though that's like literally not going to be a thing for 99.9% of those people. But like nobody dreams of being a landlord, right? Nobody is just like, man, one day I'm going to own 17 duplexes in Ottawa. And it's going to be great.
I'm sure there is some psychopath out there that was 5 years old. Like,
I love doing emergency maintenance. Let's go.
Right.
What landlord do you know that actually does emergency maintenance?
I will say, my place is expensive as fuck. The 3 times I've had to call maintenance, it has been done within 12 hours.
That's awesome.
And I didn't even call emergency maintenance. I just called regular ass maintenance.
That's good stuff.
I mean,
see, I just want to buy the land and let people I love build on the land with me.
Yes. If I could just get like, not even a lot, like 10 acres. Everybody can like build their own house far away from each other, because like, no thank you, I like my alone time. But there'll be like a main common gathering place, like a fucking campground
in the middle.
If you want to deal with other people, you go hang out in the common area, and if you want to fuck off, you go fuck off to your space. And you know, everybody's has soundproofing, because we don't want to hear that, but like we all have a grand old time.
And see, this is why I date a nurse, a teacher, a chef. I'm building the skill sets for the community.
I have watched none of The Last of Us, although I have heard it's fantastic. But because I'm on the like leftist trash side of TikTok, I have constantly seen one clip of this guy being like, "We're not communists," and his wife being like, "We live on a commune. What do you think that word means?" And I'm just like, yes, accidental leftist.
Oh, goodness.
I don't like that, though. That means that if motherfuckers did move on your land, they'd have to come to your house to get fed, nursed.
Says who?
No, they all have their own place.
Mike's.
No, you got it. No. Everybody still has.
Because he doesn't want to have to do any of these things.
No, first of all, the fact of the matter is, I can do all of these things myself. Thank you.
I know. I'm teasing.
Yourself.
I know how to do first aid. I have to get certified every year for football. Thank you.
Give yourself CPR.
That's what an AED's for, man. You put the buttons here, 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 and here. Push the button.
I bet every one of us is trained on that AED for our
Give
work.
yourself CPR. Let me see you breathe in your own mouth. Motherfucker.
You're funny.
Can't nurse shit.
Okay, fine. Then I guess the nurse is living with me. The rest can stay in their own houses.
Oh, shit.
It's just the community. I didn't say they were all living in my house. They're living in the community.
Shit you want to do is
the community.
Fine. As long as everyone is a consenting adult.
Absolutely.
That ain't none of my business. I'm team mind your business.
Baby. If I gotta take a little hike to Mike's, then that's what it is. I mean, I just hope the injury didn't involve a leg, or you better give me a scooter or golf cart in this commune.
Oh no, if we lived on a little commune, it would be like Kelly's Island, where everybody just has golf carts to go around.
Yep.
And
ATVs.
everybody would just share like the 6 cars we need to go to town sometime.
Right.
We have
go to the,
that's
go
what's
to the
up.
store.
We actually have a bus and then like 2 you're going out by yourself vehicles. That's it. There's a bus that can take us all somewhere.
And and
or
going
two
on your
normal
own
cars, or
vehicle.
you can have
But,
your own
yeah.
car. But ATVs over
that.
golf carts, because I don't know that I want roads and things all in the business.
That's fair. But I am uncoordinated, so can I just get like an all-terrain golf cart? Because
Yeah.
that really feels more comfortable to me than
Or one of those. My uncle has it. Cliff, what we ride? No, we rode around in the golf cart, but he bought.
Yeah, that was a golf cart.
No, but he bought something else. He had, and it wasn't an ATV, but it was like it was a gator basically. It was an off-road
that'd
kind of
be
like
cool.
gator.
What's that?
Basically just a souped-up golf cart, bigger wheels, still the same kind of engine. Although I think his is gas, but still, like it's made for going through the woods versus a golf cart, which is meant to be on
I know
roads.
what you're talking about. Mm-hmm. Listen,
I love this commune we have planned. Learn how to make drinkable water out of rainwater or whatever the fuck.
Yep, rain catchers. Or we just move it next to a freshwater water source.
To say, here is the problem with capitalism and being as entrenched in it. I would love that, but also I want to be 20 minutes away from a Target at all times. Like, capitalism is a nightmare.
Oh,
like,
I want fiber.
Sometimes it's hidden different, and it's at Target every time.
I want fiber optic internet drilled into this house as well. But
oh, that's true. We would have so many Xboxes and Switches in one location.
We need a fiber line. We need a dedicated fiber line cut out for us. At least a terabyte. At least a terabyte of data. All right.
be against that at all.
All right, Sam. So I think the genesis of me calling you on was I think you had sent me a couple of texts about an episode we did.
Sure, that's usually what I do. I listen and go, God damn it, guys.
And usually it's a couple weeks later. I'm like, hey, Sam, you want to come on and call us out? So what do you got?
It's a call-in. It's a loving call-in. Y'all were talking about this was like possibly 3 or 4 weeks ago's episodes. But you were talking about relationships, and you went off on this weird Andrew Tate thing about masculinity and femininity and how you need both in a relationship, which is so heteronormative it makes me want to vomit in my mouth. And
but I think
this idea that like the problem is that women are not womany enough for your masculinity, and I was just like, what is happening right now? Because like this is not.
I think I agree with you. I think we started
Cliff
there.
is just like, yeah, sure, whatever, dude. Because he like dig yourself this hole. Okay, sure.
I mean, I am one to dig a hole sometimes, but so is Cliff. But he probably stayed out of that one. No, but I think I went on to explain what I meant though, and it was more around the idea of, I think it was the protector in the relationship and how protectors aren't valued anymore. And I think that's kind of where I was getting.
That part because I literally was like, I'm annoyed. And
oh, you skipped us?
I was like, I'm done.
Yeah, I do agree with that.
I was like, I can't do this today. Actually, I
do agree with the protector thing.
So I think
I don't necessarily remember the conversation.
But my point was that the protector, and so what was traditionally a masculine trait was being the protector and provider in a relationship, right? And that is not something that's valued anymore.
It's raining tigers and wolves outside.
It is. I can hear it outside my window
my apartment is so old that the wind just like basically comes through the window, and it's so loud.
That's how. Listen, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. That's just what I'm saying though, is that it was more. Okay. And to your point, is that necessarily a masculine trait? I don't know. I'm not as educated in kind of the divine masculine and the divine feminine. My point was
literally all made up, so it doesn't.
It's not at all a masculine trait, but I don't know if it's all made up because you can look at animals and that's the natural swing of things. The only thing that separates us is that we evolve through thought. We can put our shit down in words and scripture and teach through that. but you can look at animals and see a certain thing about them. All lions have a pack and have one male lion to make sure shit's right. But at the same time, you come next to a woman's cubs and she'll fuck shit up as well. I mean, I feel like that's the natural order of things. Women are protectors, but you shouldn't have to protect anything but your young. And you shouldn't have to even protect that if I'm around.
It's like not exactly true though in nature that like lionesses do the providing. They go hunt.
Right.
They often do the protecting unless somebody is like challenging the like main alpha lion. So like women and lions do that. And then you have peacocks where the men have the giant feminine feathers with all the beautiful patterns and the women are very plain and boring. So like all these ideas of what's masculine and feminine that you see in nature, there is just as much of the opposite. Like, yeah, you see it in nature. You also see the opposite in nature.
No,
and
I definitely
us deciding like what is feminine and what is masculine is pretty arbitrary. Like, it's still real because we live in a society that believes it, but like somebody decided one day.
No,
and that's just what it has been.
I definitely agree with you, but when you think about that, like you said, the peacocks and like the penguins and all them like that, like there's not a lot of them that you can name though.
I think that has more to do with my lack of animal knowledge than a lack of examples. No,
I do think that has something to do with it, but this is also speaking of like a predatorial animal as well. Like, you know, we're not talking about fish or anything like that. But my whole point in bringing that up is, yes, we know that there are what's the right term to use? We know that there are differences.
There are there are gender roles in animals. Is that what you're saying? Or
well, not even so much. I mean, I do agree. I do think that is the case in a lot of situations. But what I'm saying is we're all different. I say that we're snowflakes all the time. Not one of us are the exact same. So with that being said, of course, there are going to be people that don't fall into the spectrum that was previously created. But I don't think damn, how do I word this?
Do you have words that you're not going to say, or do you not have words?
I don't have a way to
articulate
it without it sounding weird.
So make it sound weird and we'll talk through it.
So I guess what I was about to say is I don't like I prefaced it with we're all different, but I don't think that we need to categorize everything. You know
Agreed
what I'm saying?
With that.
It's okay to feel different, but if we add another fucking letter to that alphabet of the LBGT, I'm done with it altogether. I don't. Listen.
We're people.
Here's what is so funny about that to me. One, there's so many more letters than you know. Because you know LGBTQ, maybe. You might know that much. I've literally heard people say BLT because so like there are way more letters than you know. And the reason is because people like to find community. And also people like to check boxes. So like when I get asked my gender and I respond with no, because I don't have a gender. Gender is to me nothing. There are some people who gender is very important to them, but to me it means it doesn't exist. I don't even understand
they, them.
That it it existing. And there are people who just like that will wreck their whole life. You know, they can't handle it at all because I'm just telling them like, no, I don't. There's not a box you can check for me. Like that's kind of the point. Like I get a little frustrated when non-binary is just listed like a third gender. It's like, no, the point was I'm not interested in either of those things. But every single human has their own gender because like gender, biological sex, presentation, pronouns, all those things are completely not related to each other and can all be all over the map, and it's different for every single person for what feels right for them. So like any sort of idea of, even there's like things like wholesome masculinity to try to like counteract toxic masculinity, that is like a father taking his son camping and being like, look, nature.
Right? Wait, what?
It's a real thing.
Wait, what? What the fuck is that? What the fuck does that even mean? Because I immediately think, even if you're the masculine dad, you would take your kid camping.
If you were the toxic,
like,
right.
It is supposed to focus on, there are all these things that you can be. The big issue, and I think this is the issue with gender roles entirely, because once again, biological sex and gender are different.
Yeah.
So like there are bodily realities that you cannot like argue with, but your gender is not the same as your biological pieces and parts, because your gender is how you feel inside your brain.
But didn't it used to be like, wasn't that the original definition of gender? It had to do with biology.
Gender,
if I had a Neuralink,
exists.
all you would see is ass on my
Look, my ass is gorgeous, but you cannot be thinking about it while we're having a serious conversation. It's distracting. So, like, the idea is that we have a list of things that represent masculinity, quote unquote, a societal norm of masculinity. But a lot of those things are things that we are realizing are pretty toxic. Like, for a lot of people, they were taught that men don't cry, which is not true, and also incredibly toxic. And one of the reasons why men struggle so much with like depression and shit higher than women, because they never get told that it's okay for them to have feelings besides anger.
Right, and that ties to like,
anger is toxic masculinity. Like punching a wall because nobody taught you a fucking coping skill, because they just told you to suck it up, don't cry, is toxic masculinity.
That's a coping skill.
A woman can still do that, but like, it's toxic. It's a bad thing to do. Believing that because you're the man, you are required to do A, B, C, and D, but your partner has not agreed to that, that is toxic masculinity. Now, if you feel, hey, it's important for me as the man to make the most money for some fucking reason, that's like a thing people care about, because I want to be the provider, even though the only reason those ideals even exist is because of patriarchy in the 1900s, but whatever. That matters to me. And if she's like, hell yeah, I will chill out at home and watch the kids, sounds great. Great for those people. But if you try to push that on other people, then it becomes toxic masculinity.
Right.
It's also, I think, toxic femininity, specifically in white women more than others, let's be honest, or people perceived as white women. Like, I still have this privilege of like always being seen as the victim, even when they do terrible things, and like trying to use that as like, well, now the cops are here, so I'm gonna cry. Like, this black woman was messing with me, even though I, for some reason, felt the need to put myself in her business.
Well, and to your point on that,
toxic femininity.
Yeah,
both are bad.
And to your point on that, I don't think it's just white women. When I
see it the most, it's white women.
I agree with you. But when I was living in Pittsburgh, there was a mixed couple that lived below me, white man, black woman, and my neighbors called the cops on them more than once. And each time, it was the husband that got taken away, despite the fact that we both said it was the wife who was threatening the husband with a knife. Like,
yeah,
I agree with you, because they're always seen as the victim. Women are always going to be seen as the victim.
Well, that's a different
statistically
argument.
They are.
That's a different argument.
I agree with you.
But see, I think that the whole toxic masculinity, femininity thing falls into the same category that I said that I don't want another fucking category. You're just a shitty motherfucker.
You're just a shitty person. Agreed.
Yeah, it's not toxic masculinity. It's not toxic femininity.
We all have toxic traits.
You're a shitty motherfucker. Now, when I think of toxic masculinity, I think of like back in the day, certain things that were acceptable and people that continue to do those things in this day.
Being a bully.
But just like nitpicking and naming shit, it's almost like watering down the phrase. You know what I'm saying? Like if you add everything into it, then when you hear the word, you're like, I don't.
Right. If everything's a problem, then I'm not going to identify the real problem.
Right. No, that's you just being a shitty motherfucker. But a toxic masculinity thing would be seeing a woman walking down the street, and as opposed to saying, excuse me, can I speak to you? Just grabbing her by the hand and pulling her, hey, excuse me. You know what I'm like? That was shit that they did all the time back in the day.
Just to be clear, any people who look like men, whether identify as such, if you're walking around, don't say that. Don't say, hey, can I talk to you for a second? No, dog, I'm on the street trying to get from point A to point B. Leave me the fuck alone. Don't grab her hand. Just leave her the fuck alone. Maybe that was the love of your life. Hope you see her at a coffee shop sometime. Let her be.
But everybody doesn't feel that way. Everybody doesn't feel that way.
I don't know.
And it would be different if that was...
people who wouldn't, but like everybody that I know who is read as a woman is like, please leave me alone.
Because see, here's my thing. And this is
I'm
also...
not at a bar. Clearly trying to find somebody.
This is also the bed that people who think that way made as well, because now if you do completely nix that from the menu, then all you have the ability to do is meet motherfuckers on dating apps and online, and then that's how you run into serial killers and crazy motherfuckers. At least in that situation, you have the opportunity to read energies and see what a motherfucker, how they make you feel in person.
I hear both sides of the argument here. So I hear the point on if somebody is clearly trying to go from point A to point B, generally speaking, I agree. I'm not going to be somebody that's going to approach there. To the other point, though, like to Cliff's point, there are venues where that is what people are going out to do.
Right.
However, I don't know. Like, okay, so you're saying that about on the street. What if I'm at a dog park and I strike up a conversation? Like, is that okay? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
my whole thing is you should be able to read when it's okay.
Yeah.
To ask for someone's attention.
And I agree with that, but some of y'all motherfuckers are illiterate.
That's true.
So I don't know what you want me to do, because the idea that like if you want to meet somebody, you can join a club, you can join an organization, you can go to a bar, you can go to spaces that are made for that. I guarantee the person trying to get back to her workplace before her lunch break is over at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday is not trying to have a meet cute at that moment. Like, that just is not the context of that specific situation. And also, there's a lot of like, well, how am I supposed to approach women? If you don't have game, that's not a me problem. If you don't know how to approach women in a way that makes them feel safe and lets you get in there, that's on you. Because you can tell instantly when somebody stops somebody on the street, the discomfort in their body. Like, it's bad.
That's the difference though, right? It's because we're in a situation where there's no game involved now. It's a swipe left, swipe right situation. You've matched.
Yeah, but once you match, there is game. Like, the ability to have a conversation is game.
But have you ever noticed how awkward it is when you have a conversation with someone over a text message and then meet them in person, and it's like...
So what I will say is, and I will give up my secrets here, because we've talked about it on the show before. I have the 10 question survey we came up with, Cliff. I have those 10 questions. I have my responses. I literally copy and paste that shit into text. And if they say something enough in their responses that warrants me to add something to my response, I do it. But outside of that, like, their responses are generally enough for me to decide, do I want to meet up with this person or not? And really, it's the follow-up that comes after that conversation, after the questionnaire, that really gives me the indication of where is this going or what is the potential here, because I turn the conversation over to them at that point. And if they're not willing to add to the conversation at that point, I'm done. Like, I went through my AI-generated copy-paste game, and that either got their attention or it didn't.
that like I personally would view that as, oh, this motherfucker is trying. Because the number of guys on apps, especially who put in zero effort, who think, especially like as a fat person, they're just like, oh, well, you must just be so happy somebody likes you. Like, bitch, I pull dick. What the fuck are you talking about? I don't need you. Like, I don't understand. People really are just lazy, and they'll
That
send hey to 15 people in a row without even looking at their pictures.
definitely
And
do
so it's
that.
really nice to be able to like just swipe away instead of in person, when like there has happened recently where men will just be like, oh, this woman said no to me, so I shot her in the face.
Yeah.
So, like, saying no to a man in public, even, is not always safe. And I understand that that's hashtag not all men, but do you want to play that game of Russian roulette? Because I don't.
That's that shit that you just falling into a trap. That's that
I'm
shit that they
ready. How am I
promote.
trapped?
That's just shit that they promote because it's all kinds of shit that happens. We talked about the shit about the dude that held the door for the woman and she didn't say thank you and he shot her in the face. There's shit about the woman who shot the man in the face. It's always gonna be something, but you can't just fall into that. You can't
No.
I
fall into
can't
that.
be
That's
like,
like
hey,
saying
strangers on the
because
street who might shoot me, I'm not going to talk to you.
that's like saying because it storms outside, I'm gonna stay indoors. Nah, you
That's
still got to
literally
go
what you
out.
do when it storms. I don't understand. Like, that's a normal safety precaution when there's lightning to go inside.
So,
Like, what you are saying is just
I
like,
think Cliff's
get
point is, but at that point you're choosing to stay inside even when it's not storming.
no,
well,
that's
and
not at all what I'm saying, and that may be a piece of it. But if it's storming outside, that doesn't mean that I don't have to go to work. That doesn't mean I don't have to continue my life. So if I'm scared every time I hear lightning, nothing gets done. I starve. I don't survive. That doesn't mean that just because it's storming outside, you're gonna get struck by lightning. And that's what I'm saying. Everybody's the whole media, everything that gets pushed right now is to make motherfuckers scared of something. And the fear leads to pills and depression and anxiety because now I'm stuck in the house because I'm scared to go outside. And it's like, what's going on? Like, you may miss out on one of the most beautiful people that you ever seen because you thought that high was something predatory. That's what's so weird about it.
so going with the storm analogy, though, like, you still bring an umbrella if it might storm. So a lot of times, for people who are seen as women, it is a matter of like, that is the umbrella of like, I don't know you and you just came up to me. And if you're, once again, context matters. If I am at a bar looking around trying to make eye contact with a cute guy, obviously that is when you approach somebody. And I understand wanting a natural approach as opposed to a like artificial one on an app. That, if that is your vibe, I get it, because I also hate apps. I download them all and then delete them all a month later every single fucking
Yeah, it's real awkward when
but
I come
like,
across you, Sam. So if you want to just
every
stay off
every
of them,
fucking
it's
app,
fine.
I like, well, your picture will pop up and I'm like, block. Stop showing me people I'm related to. I've seen you. I've seen Maddie. I have seen Maddie's ex. I have seen my ex-husband.
I see Maddie's ex all the time. Like, that one seems to pop up several
everywhere.
times.
I'm like, what the fuck? No. That's beside the point. But it's just like, that is our umbrella, because we're not talking about getting rained on, and yeah, that sucks. We're talking about like 1 in 4 women have been assaulted.
But see,
It's
that's the
not like a
thing.
small numbers. Like, women get raped, women get attacked, women get abused a hell of a lot more than people get struck by lightning.
Right.
It's a much more reasonable fear.
I would urge you to actually bring an umbrella then, such as like a weapon of your own, mace or a gun, because when your umbrella is an attitude, chances are energies meet energies.
Yeah, but I will also say I've met several women on dating apps who carry.
Right, and I'm sure you're a lot more comfortable
Right.
with just saying no thank you
Right.
and keeping it pushing. But when your umbrella is your attitude, then energies meet energies. even if that person didn't have that energy when they felt that immediately kicked in their energy, and now you're dealing with a disgruntled male because they felt like, damn, I just said hello, damn.
I think an issue that I have with also men approaching women is that oftentimes they act as though, whether they feel this way or not, I don't know, but their actions show that they feel very entitled to a woman's time.
And
even if asked to, like, the number of times that I have had to lie and say that I had a boyfriend so that a guy would leave me the fuck alone because me politely saying, actually, I'm not interested in seeing anybody tonight, thanks though. And then they keep pushing. Well, why? What's wrong with me? What are you doing? And they don't stop. And I will literally just be like, I have a boyfriend. And then they turn around and leave because they respect him and his ownership of me more than they respect me saying no. Also, if you're looking at me and believing I have a boyfriend, you're a fucking idiot. Like, just double pass. I mean, like, because I'm very clearly queer.
I don't know that you could just make that assumption, though.
No, I don't either, because I don't think...
Because anybody can look anyway. Like, that is the correct answer.
Right.
But I just look like a dyke. I'm not a woman. I'm not that.
But to your point, but to the earlier point, that's not...
I usually would have, like, a button down on.
But to your earlier point, like, that's just a toxic trait, regardless if they're male or female. Like, that's a toxic...
There's a lot more examples, once again.
Yeah. No, I hear you.
There are absolutely women who are predatory and pieces of shit. But the numbers...
Yeah, we call them gold diggers, or we call them whatever. Yeah.
I mean, I also call them predators. Like, women rape men. That is a thing that happens.
Well, and I think beyond that, like, I don't
ever want to make it seem like that isn't happening, but, like, we just have to be honest about who's doing what most often.
No, and
like,
all right.
I was never worried about school shootings because there weren't any white boys at my school. Not concerned. Horner, Morse, and Carl?
It's true.
Nah, we good.
That's true.
Like,
I do have a question for you, though, and this is knowing that you've been on dating apps as well. Do you come across as many bots and as many, we'll call them sex workers, as a non-binary person or someone who maybe gives off a feminine appearance? Like, does that happen to you, or does that only happen to guys on these apps? Because about half the folks that, like, half of the swipes... No, I agree. I think it is, but I'm looking for verification to that, because I don't think women in particular understand how many fucking bots and scam artists there are targeting men on those kind of apps.
There are probably the same number of bots that be sending me messages on Tumblr about being a sugar baby.
Okay.
Same idea. They... Oh my god, I lost everything I was just gonna say.
Bots.
Bots.
You thinking about your sugar daddy?
Because God, I would take a Splenda Papa at this point.
I know that's right. Listen, I said I'm a salt bay around here.
I think that oh my gosh, my brain. What the hell?
Bots, scam artists.
Yes, clearly, Cliff. Bots. I get sex workers on mine because I have listed that I am attracted to women. The only things, like on OkCupid, when you can get really specific, the only things I have blocked out are straight men and straight women, because I'm not a woman or a man. So, like, if you call yourself straight, I don't feel good about that. But, like, I'm pretty much open otherwise to gender and shit. And I don't get any female bots. I get sex workers of all genders.
Okay.
But that's it. Which I'm fine. Like, hey man, if you make some money,
and that's generally my response as well. Like,
get that bag, but it's not for me.
Yeah, no, that's usually, and I almost feel bad because on, like, certain apps, it's like, I almost feel like I need to preface it. Like, if this conversation is going to turn into you asking me for money for sexual interaction, one, I don't need it. Two, I respect what you're doing, but I'm not a customer.
Well, see, you can definitely, they have to be targeting straight men specifically. One, because they know where they're getting their money. But also, like, the sex workers that I see on my apps are not coming to me and asking for me to have money. It simply states in their profile.
Gotcha.
I have one of those sites. Message me.
I have an OnlyFans. Let me know.
Yeah, and that's it. And they don't, farm out things. Gotcha. They're just like, yeah, if you like what you see, this is how you can get to see it more. The end. But nobody is like messaging me like, join my OnlyFans. I think I've probably had 2 of those. Period.
Oh yeah, no, I get asked. Generally, if there's a match and it's a fast match, it's almost guaranteed that someone's premium Snap content is coming through in the next message.
What kills me on I think it's Tinder that does this, but I might be wrong, is you'll like swipe a few people and it'll be like, you missed a match. And it's like, no, I didn't, because I didn't swipe on them. That's not what a match is.
Right.
Like, stop tricking people into lowering their standards by being like, well, are you sure? Because that dude thought you were cute. Maybe you just look at the profile
that's
again.
Job.
No, they're doing the job well. Good for them.
You're not supposed to get rocked to sleep. You don't get rocked to sleep. Our job was to get you a match, right? You haven't been biting on the ones we've given you, so are you fucking sure about Drake?
Honestly,
he's non-binary.
We have,
like you said, you didn't. He's non-binary. You just swiped. You didn't even know he wasn't non-binary.
So I do want to hit the chat real quick. So tying back to our earlier conversation around gender roles, I think it was the Reeds chimed in with, a mother is the most powerful protector. Look at the mother grizzly. I will say that for sure for the Reeds. And then Pandering Pelosi in the chat, my pronouns are Zer, Zim, and Zay.
Oh, that's right, Panderer.
I mean, neo-pronouns are valid.
Oh,
I'll use whatever pronouns Zay wants me to use. It's not hard.
Right.
Like, literally.
Listen, I mean no disrespect, but after a while, I just kind of shut down.
Yeah. In terms of the
it's
conversation,
like, God
or
damn,
what?
like I'm not like just tell me what you want to be called.
But
I'm not interested in hearing anything else.
Which is God, if that's all I could get, I would pay $1 million I don't have. If that could be the way those conversations went.
Listen, that's
the
it.
amount
I don't
that I just want to
hurt
say,
your feelings
call
or
me
disrespect.
Sam, they,
just
them,
tell me
thanks.
something.
I
but
will.
No, it's explain non-binary to me.
And
what's your real name? How do your parents feel? What does your partner call you? I'm like, bitch, I don't know your name yet.
Wait. I guess you have to. Right,
good girl.
Right.
I don't know.
But I guess y'all are leading the pack of this. So you can't be the ones that's like, those are valid questions. I mean, they are interpersonal. No, definitely. But I mean, when you're leading the pack, like when you're carrying the torch, it's like you gotta let motherfuckers know what you running for as well, don't you? A little bit.
I have a comment to make here, and then Sam, I'm sorry, I'll let you answer.
Cliff, you're fine.
from my perspective, I feel the same way about that I felt about at one of my son's friends' birthday parties. Someone stopped the only African American male father that dropped his kid off at the birthday party about a racial issue that happened in my son's school district again, and asked him about it. And I'm like, but at that point though, as like the only black man there, he's going to feel like he has to respond on behalf of the black community in that school district. And is that right? Like he shouldn't have to.
Well, we have to anyway.
Right? That doesn't mean it's right.
Honestly, the number of times that I have like been talking to friends about it, and they'll be like, "Look, I'm still waiting on the 40 acres and a mule. Like, you got to do your time a little bit." And I'm just like, I would like us to both become unoppressed together, but you're not incorrect.
Right. You can't jump the line.
There's also, I think,
it's because gender norms are a white person problem, and they're being addressed faster than black issues.
I mean, that's what Dave Chappelle said.
One of the most horrifying things, the way that erases black trans people, specifically black trans women, which are the most like
Targeted.
harmed and assaulted and actively murdered group among the trans community, are black trans women. Also, usually leading all of the causes as black women have for literally ever.
Yep.
For our civil rights, and they still are disrespected because of misogyny and misogynoir, specifically because they're black women. And like, it is still so deeply a problem. And
That's because they know
the
they owe them
idea,
double.
the issue is that literally, yes, like that's what intersectionality is. They are like more oppressed in these ways of just trying to exist. Because not only do they have sexism, but then they have transphobia and racism to deal with. Like shit, if one of them are in a wheelchair, they have won the like oppression lottery.
Well, thank you
The
for
oppression
thank you.
lottery
Wild.
doesn't mean nothing unless that motherfucker gets 80 acres. I'll take 20. I'll take 20. They can have my 20.
Hey, in this
But
house,
can we
still
get something, motherfuckers? And that's how you know we'll never get something, because then the white dude's like, I'm a woman. I don't have to do anything for you because I'm no longer a white man. Like, that's weird. Like, come on.
You also just covered off on all of the new questions that apparently you now have to ask or answer on employment apps, by the way.
Yes. Also, like, sorry,
It's a
going
whole
back to the
extra
questions
page.
thing.
It's a whole extra page of your application.
So, like,
Right.
I genuinely love answering those questions.
I'm sure you
That's
do.
what I want to do with my career.
Because they are trying to find candidates like you and not cisgendered white males who already have all the jobs.
When people ask me questions like at work, my coworkers are so good about being like, hey, I have a couple questions. Do you mind if I ask you them? Which gives me an opportunity to be like, I don't have that emotional energy today. Can we talk about it tomorrow? It shows me that they like respect my time and energy, because most of the things people ask are shit you can Google, which is free and does not cause me any time or energy. But I also know that building those bridges and those friendships and teaching people one-on-one and when you're in proximity to them is what actually changes like issues. When they're like, oh yeah, I know that trans people are not all like predators because I know a trans person. So like, I want to be that person. I just don't think anybody should feel like they have to be that person.
Yeah. No, I get that.
I'll answer questions all day, which is what I always tell them. And they ask, buddy.
Oh, I'm sure they do.
I get mad if people ask me without checking first, or ask me like literally as the first question. When I went to a training in West Virginia, I put they them next to my name on my little name tag, and one of the people was like, "What's happening?" And I was like, "Oh, those are my pronouns." And I had to explain what a pronoun was, because middle school English has failed us all. And then the next question was literally, I've never heard the word non-binary. What does that mean? And I'm like, can I get like to my name? I literally sat down 30 seconds ago. It's 7 a.m. Like, we gotta take a break for my coffee, and then I guess I can explain the complexities of gender to you. But like, I'm tired.
No, and I think that to the point there, like, and that was my same point about this fellow parent of mine who I've become really good friends with because he's also separating. And we've had some good conversations about that. I'm like, just leave the man alone. Like, he doesn't need to speak on behalf of everybody here. But he's going to feel like he has to, like I'm sure you do, Sam. Like, because getting asked the question necessitates an answer. Otherwise, you risk, like, someone going off misinformed and labeling everybody with how their interaction with you.
Well, and it's like, it is nice to know people care.
Listen, I don't have to do none of that. I don't have to answer your question nor make you feel comfortable.
So you don't feel like, and I hear you, I agree with you that you don't have to. I think that there is pressure there, though, that shouldn't be, that if you are the only black man in the audience and someone asks you something, Like, you're going to feel the need to respond. Maybe I'm wrong there. Maybe that's not the case for you.
You're definitely wrong there.
But what I'm saying is, for this particular person in that particular community, I know that's not the first time he's had to answer a question about something that happened in the community, because he was one of the few.
The only fucked up thing about that situation is you brought your son to that party. So depending on how you play that situation, you could ruin the situation that your son has going.
Yep.
But trust and believe, if I feel like the question was inappropriate, I have no problem looking at you like you're stupid and walking right past you.
Right. Well, all right, I will throw one other piece of information out there. The person who asked is a teacher in the school.
That's sad.
That's so sad.
Then I just...
It's not surprising, but it's sad.
Instead of giving a dumb look, I just go like this and walk right past.
Honestly, I love it. I definitely...
Because you should know better, bitch. You should know better.
Yeah. I definitely feel a responsibility to answer questions. I joke that I'm the queer ambassador for the old white men that I work with. And, like, they're doing better. They no longer say the R word. They stopped calling shit gay like they were...
Because I need to know if I say it.
Just mentally challenged, Cliff. That R word.
Okay. No, I don't
Thank
say
you.
that.
I was like, I'm not fucking
I feel like we don't say that word anymore. Like, I feel like that's been pretty eliminated from the lexicon.
My, like, second week there, my boss called somebody that. And I was like, what? I literally was like, no? What if you...
No, I do say slow a lot.
He called somebody a fag, and I had to be like, dude.
I do say slow a lot. Like, this motherfucker's slow.
But that's also not ideal, but that's better than...
But that could go with anything. That doesn't necessarily mean mentally challenged. It just means that your neurons don't fire fast enough. This motherfucker's slow. Or maybe you just don't move quick. I don't know.
I was talking to somebody about the fact that I basically never correct people on my pronouns. I feel really genuinely uncomfortable doing so, for a lot of reasons we don't need to get into. But the first thing they said was just like, okay, so what about the next non-binary person who works there? They're gonna have to just do it on their own because... And I'm like,
yeah.
Like, is it my fucking responsibility to be fucking... the non-binary whisperer? Like,
no, but yeah,
I do kind of agree,
because you said it. This is too complicated for me to wrap my head around. So don't automatically assume that the next non-binary person is exactly what Sam was. So you better be ready to talk your shit.
And honestly,
so y'all are in a boat where y'all won't forever have to be talking.
I love that they would know, like, if any of my coworkers thought this person is non-binary, but maybe not in the same way Sam was, maybe I can ask them these questions. I would be over the moon. But that is not the case.
Right.
It is still very much like, oh yeah, I like non-binary people. My son is gay. And it's like, those are not connected, actually. Like, they're neighbors in the same neighborhood, but, like, not on the same side of the street.
It's like when somebody asks me if I know somebody at the 10,000 person company that I work for, I'm like,
yes.
Nah, I don't.
It is, so, like, even them, like, acknowledging that.
But is it wrong of them to ask? Because maybe you do.
That's fair.
I don't think there's anything wrong
with asking
the questions. I think it is wrong to feel, once again, entitled to answers, or entitled to, like, my time. So, like, just respectfully, again, I'm not gonna say if I'm asking somebody a question, I will say, hey, could I ask you something really quick? Like, I don't just walk up to people and start asking them questions, because that's not how humans interact with one another.
Right. Build a relationship.
So, like, if you are interacting with me like a human being, I'm fine. If you're like, hey, I have a question, can you answer it? And then if I'm like, actually, I'm not really comfortable answering that question, but I bet if you Googled it, you'd find a few answers. Well, and then, like, if I feel comfortable doing those things, I'm cool.
And I think it also comes down to framing, though, right? Like,
yeah.
I think you can frame things in a certain way, like, hey, I want to make sure I address you in the correct way.
Yeah,
how should I do
I got
that?
a question.
Right.
Why you do that? Like,
Right.
okay, like they're different. I had a perfect example. One of my coworkers who I struggle to get along with, I have a sweater that says Fat Babe on it. I wore it to work. And he said, "Well, if you're non-binary, why does your shirt say babe?"
I mean,
I
men
was
can be
like,
called babe too.
I was like, babe does not have a gender assigned
Right.
to it. Like, babe is just a term of endearment. And he was like, so you wouldn't be upset if I called you babe? And I'm like, I would be upset for a multitude of reasons if you called me babe. But being non-binary is not one of them. Like, what are you talking about? And just like those like clearly aggressive trying to get you questions are like obviously never okay.
Right.
But
Well, that's what I
just
said. It comes down to
people-
framing and context.
it's like talking to an NPC in a video game.
You know, it's funny.
Like, there's just no human interaction. They just be talking.
I used to be an adventurer once.
Until
Until I got shot in the
That's
knee.
how I should start responding if I don't.
That's an interesting point. But you know what I find interesting about this is the first time that white folks see how other white folks interact when you're not on the same side as them. Because that's the only reason they talk to you that way, because they clearly see that there's a difference between
It's the other.
and you.
No,
So
100%.
I'm going to
100%, you're correct. Like, the way that people do not.
If y'all had just read the Quran, y'all y'all didn't know what we was talking about the whole time. I'm just playing.
You're rude. That got me. I lost my whole train of thought.
Oh,
was too much.
shit.
The
I don't
like
even know what we was talking about.
I lost track.
I lost it. We'll start fresh. New topic.
New topic. What do we got?
Listen, what I will say is The Rock missed it with his tequila.
Oh, yeah.
I don't like it.
No.
Is it bad?
I don't know if I'll say it's bad because I know everybody has a different palate, different taste. They look for different flavors.
I'm not a tequila fan, so.
I only drink tequila if it's inside of a margarita, so it doesn't matter really what it tastes like.
Oh no, I'll drink it straight. I like to, sip it, get the flavor.
Hey, Cliff.
But
Cliff.
that is
you
very
know,
peppery.
You know the last time I had straight tequila? You remember
Man.
you, me, Whoop in the studio at Champion, and I took a fifth or half a fifth to the head? That was the last time I had tequila.
Was that tequila?
Yes, it was. And it was some
I don't
cheap
even
shit.
know if did we drink tequila like that back then?
We really didn't, and for some reason we had half a bottle, or we had a bottle, and I took probably maybe not half, but it was like at least a quarter of it to the head, and I have not been able to touch the shit since.
Yeah, that's
well, The Rock missed, so you're not missing nothing. Now, George Clooney, on the other hand, that Casamigos, I don't care what nobody says.
You have been all about the Casamigos on like the last 3 episodes.
I ran out, and that's why I was like, I don't feel like paying all this money for a bottle I'm going to get. Let's try the Rock shit.
Now you learned why it's so cheap.
Listen, it tastes
Do you
like,
smell what the Rock is cooking?
Listen, it's a lot of pepper in it. It's a lot. It's
Why
a
would
peppery,
you want a peppery beverage?
a peppery tequila. Like the Casamigos is more smooth. This is more like spicy.
There was someone that was over the other day, and they had like a mango habanero, like White Claw or Truly or something like that. And they told me to take a sip,
drink,
and it was awful. I about vomited in my mouth with just a sip.
I like my alcohol to taste like juice. I drink like a 30-year-old soccer mom. Like, give me some cranberry juice and vodka. I just want to drink juice and end up drunk at the end of it. I do not want it to be spicy. I don't want it to burn.
Don't need all that. No, I need all that. No, I need all that.
No, I'm like, I'm getting to the age where I can understand why people say like this is a sipping liquor
Yeah.
as opposed to a drinking liquor.
I didn't think he was quite that old yet.
Oh, we
Well,
know.
if you know, but I thought every bottle that I could crack open was a chugging liquor back in the day. If I bought a bottle, that bottle didn't last the evening. You hear what I'm saying? Now we're at an age where I can buy a bottle and it'll last me a month or so.
This is now the difference between like the last 3 years of my marriage and now.
Listen, you hear what I'm saying? When you're cool and you know you don't have to worry too much, I don't need that. But when you stressed every day, bitch, pour me a drink. Make
or just
it
give
double.
me the bottle.
And don't tell me your pronouns. Just get the drink.
I mean, you don't really need to know somebody's pronouns for that interaction.
Right.
That would be weird.
I mean,
I'm sorry, what are your pronouns?
You kind of do though. You kind of do though, right? Like, excuse me, miss. Can I get a drink?
One, if you're doing this at the bar, I hope somebody hits you in the face.
I'm not snapping, but like usually it's the card that is out and like, hey, trying to get attention.
Entitlement that we was talking about right
straight
there.
White man over there.
Hey, miss, hey, they, them, hey.
After you've been ignored for 20 minutes, and the hot guy at the other end of the bar has gotten his drink.
Motherfucker.
Fair enough. All right, I rescind my comment.
I just won.
Also, like, just don't. If you can avoid saying like "miss," just don't, because you don't know that person's gender.
No,
I think
that's fair.
It's so hard for me to say sir and ma'am. Stop saying sir and ma'am. It's
right.
I mean,
like,
that's how I was. Sometimes
that's how I was raised.
Taught to us.
Right. Exactly. Right. Like I was raised to. And I do this in email and stuff, and even in like work-related chats. I always say, I will say I got away from saying it to women in general because women take offense to it all.
But
anytime I'm saying thank you to a fellow male comment or a fellow male coworker, I'm like, thank you, sir, I appreciate it. Like,
I say it regardless, and I'll try to read your face to see if you like wince up or if I get a read like, oh, she didn't like that.
Just say I definitely make a face when somebody uses the wrong thing.
Right, yeah. And I don't blame you for it.
But I'm just like, ooh.
But see, that's a good tell though. I would like that, so that lets me know. Okay,
I won't do that next time. Right.
That wasn't what I should do. Without you even having to say it, I can read like, okay, I got you. That's good.
Very first day of work, one of the guys, very sweet man, was like, excuse me, ma'am. And I was like, ooh, we're going to pump the brakes on the ma'am for me.
See, I would even like that. That I would love that.
Okay,
fair. I would love that interaction.
Right.
It's just, which I wasn't even thinking about the gender thing. I was like, I'm 32.
Right.
I'm not ready for this.
Right.
Fucking young bucks.
You're wrong for multiple reasons, but like.
But that's for me, and I don't know, maybe this was like saying sir or miss was always an indication of respect. Right. And I don't think it's taken that way anymore. But like sir still feels pretty okay.
There's no elderly respect anymore.
Right.
And you know why that comes down to the streets, the OGs. Y'all took the OGs off the streets,
right?
And then the kids started learning from themselves, and they didn't respect elders. But back in the day, the OGs were the elders, so you had to respect them. Right. And we all know that the world gets their a tin hut from the black culture. So if black culture isn't respecting elders, then the white culture isn't respecting elders. And you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like
I think part of it is also like
y'all have
what we
not
as a
been
society
respecting them for a while though.
As respect
right
evolves. So I don't think saying thank you, sir, is any more or less respectful than saying thank you. Thank you for your time. Thanks for giving us that, like whatever. I don't think that those two, I don't think sir makes it more respectful. I feel like that is, we are conditioned to use those words with people we respect. but it doesn't necessarily make it more respectful.
Thank you works though because you're pairing the two words. There's a pair to thank. You is the pair. But when you're saying like yes, if you just say yes, it seems pretty abrupt. You usually say yes, sir, yes, ma'am, something along those lines, and then that's the pair, but to just be like yes. And then how many people say yes if it's the only word that comes out their mouth? Chances are it's yeah. And then yeah is informal. So if you're in an interview situation, you don't want to run the risk of spitting something out informal. So you usually hit the sir or ma'am. That way, that guarantees you say yes as opposed to yeah.
Like our idea of what professional language is.
Right.
As far as like, oh, well, this is in this context considered what's appropriate.
Right. Now, if we're at the bar and you could be my boss's boss. Yeah, motherfucker. Did you hear me say it? I just said it 3 times. Yeah.
Literally. Yeah.
Have you seen the black guy calls the cops videos on TikToks?
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like, I just need to ask you some questions first. And he's like, where do you live? What's your name? Can you say the word ask for me?
He said, nah, I can't ask you to say nothing.
Ask X. Ah, damn it!
I think that I don't know enough about like language history and shit to know anything for real. But I think that the idea of a sir and a ma'am came from being in situations where like power disparity was way more important and intense for a variety of reasons.
Yeah.
And now the goal at least would be for that not to be the case.
Yeah, that'll make me stop saying it.
Like the only time I use those words now, sometimes it'll slip out of like muscle memory habit, is with police officers. Because they like demand that type of behavior for safety.
I say with my parents.
I think the older generation too.
Yeah, my parents, grandparents, people. Yeah, older people.
Especially like if I were to see Pippa and Meemaw, like that's how I would address it.
Right. And they don't even really be pressed on those shit.
No,
like that,
I know, but like for me, it's an expectation from that generation that's how they're addressed.
I told you he asked about you.
You did.
He's supposed to be going to Golden Corral on Saturday.
Oh, nice.
With Dominic and them.
That's cool.
It's been a while.
Yeah. All right, so the Reeds is asking a question. So what should you call the bartender to get their attention if miss, sir, etc.? Is it just hey you, or is it just excuse me? Or I guess it would just be
excuse me, sorry to bother you. Like I'm a millennial, so anytime I
don't
ask
even
for anything,
do that.
I feel like I'm hurting someone for some reason.
What you do is you just take a $20
I'm asking
bill.
you to do the job you're paid for. I apologize.
Take a $20 bill and you hold it up over everybody closest to the bartender, and
you'll get served real quick.
She's gonna assume the whole thing's for her until you say, "My change, please."
See, that's cold. I'm a tipper.
My problem is that it's always a card. It's never cash.
If you tip them great the first couple of times, you don't wait at the bar.
That used to be
hard at the beginning.
So when I've been to Privilege.
In a while.
An all-inclusive or somewhere in Vegas or somewhere in DC, the first thing I do is drop a big tip to make sure I'm taking care of the rest of the night. And then I'll drop them another one.
Don't let me have the bartender by themselves, man or woman, by themselves before the crowd comes in.
Right.
Listen, this isn't even for a drink. This is you. If you see me and you don't
make eye contact,
ask for this motherfucker back.
This is my
tab. Every single time. Yeah, I want to keep my tip.
Right.
Absolutely. 100%. But yeah, excuse me works.
Yeah.
Language is gendered as hell, which makes things difficult.
Right.
Because and it's not gendered language.
What's interesting is that English is probably the least gendered language, though.
That's true.
Like, how do you do that
quantitatively, not
in
literally.
the most in the most, what's the word I'm looking for? The most irritated genderless as well. Isn't that weird? That the most irritated of all the genderless is this country, and this country is the only one
that doesn't have masculine,
have
feminine nouns
so
and
what the
pronouns.
fuck are you so upset about? These people have to hear it in the language they speak on a daily basis. And these motherfuckers actually like, you didn't call me the correct pronoun?
I will say there's a lot of really cool things happening. We talked about it in one of my classes last semester with Latina trans people trying to work on like degendering their language, even just like as slang.
See, that's
not necessarily like the official whole language, but like just the way people casually speak.
What do they do? Like use a U or an I instead of an A or an O?
I think that like Latina, they used an E at the end.
That's what I was about to say.
So I think that the E is kind of becoming that.
Okay, I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either. That's awesome.
But I figured
that was a legit question.
E would make the most sense.
Say it's very interesting because some people, like, it used to be Latin X, and then people are like, okay, but like X isn't even a sound we have really in our language, so like we don't want to use a word like you. That's obviously white people thought this up.
Yeah, Cliff's actually brought that up before around Latinx doesn't make any sense because the word is with an O or an A.
All right.
Per usual, you should let people in a community choose those communities' languages and how they use things. But
I apologize on behalf of my
all
race.
over everything.
What if the community doesn't want to participate? Because I would think Mexico would be one of them. Jamaica would be one of them. I would think South America would be the first to be like, we're on board.
I think that it would be, it's more about like the way these things always start is like within queer communities, language will be developed. And then slowly it leaks out. It's not like these are official government things. It's like the way that white gay drag queens are currently using AAVE from like 3 years ago.
Okay.
Wait, I'm sorry. I don't even know what that means. What did you just say real quick?
Like words that become... I said that white drag queens are using like slang words, like fleek, literally, is the best example I have. Right. That were popular in AAVE like 2 years ago, and then it like trickled down, and then it got taken by white people, as everything does, and they made it corny, as they do, as we do. Can't
like
really
ramen
separate
noodles?
Myself from that.
Like ramen noodles, like tacos, like no, I'm just
literally everything. We take everything and we have never made it better. I can't think of anything that we took and made an improvement on. We have only fucked it up.
Listen, y'all put gravy on French fries in Canada.
You know what? That's good as shit. So
that's what I was
poutine
just
might be it.
I was just about to say.
Might be the white people.
I don't know. I'm not against down in that just yet. I tried.
Fucking good.
But it sounds very Caucasus.
It is. You can tell a meal is a white people meal when all of it is beige. Like that is a big indication.
That is
pasta, potatoes.
Right? Am I wrong? Interesting. I don't know that you are.
Garlic, onions.
Put me on. It's like seeing if a snake is venomous, like if the eyes are straight lines or they circle. If it's beige, then you can. I'm not staying over for dinner.
Yeah, because if they're, when there's like a work potluck and you're trying to find like potato salad that Karen made because it's gonna be bad and you want to avoid it, like that shit is beige for no reason that makes any sense. It just is.
There's no red in it. There was no paprika.
Yeah, there's no red.
That's crazy.
Have you seen the
couple cat hairs in there?
Have you seen the SNL with Chadwick Boseman playing Black Panther doing Black Jeopardy?
Mm-mm.
Oh, you should look that one up. It is fantastic because the answer was, this potato salad was made by a white person. He's like, okay, I think I finally have it. Karen, she was invited to this, yes? The potato salad is very bland. There's no seasoning, no paprika. What is Karen's potato salad? And the crowd cheers.
No, nothing about that.
Oh man, it is one of the few like good SNL skits of probably the last 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
Right before Chadwick passed.
No, I got that one.
You have to look that one up.
What was the one Dave Chappelle did about the what was it? The something hole?
Oh, I'm blanking.
It was.
I
the
did not see
hole.
this one, and I would love to know the context.
It's the something hole. He's a musician, and he's airing his CD out on like a Morning America show, and his CD is called like the cornhole or something crazy like that. And the white co-hosts or the hosts are making fun at the whole time, like, well, what could the cornhole mean? You know what I'm saying? And he says, I really wouldn't like to talk about it. At the very end, he says, the cornhole is a hole that the slaves used to dig and hide their food and valuables in it so the slave masters would. And all the white people are like, oh, well, we're sorry that we even joked about it. That shit was funny as fuck though. That shit was funny. It almost gave me like a Dave Chappelle show skit vibe.
The Dave Chappelle show was so. I mean, I haven't watched it again in years.
Can't beat it.
So I
have a feeling
if my new SJW brain could handle it. If I would just be like, this is from a different time.
You couldn't.
TV loved it. But I think my little ass now would be like,
all I know is
like,
that
I can't do it.
All I know is that Chuck Berry is the most disrespectful motherfucker on the earth.
His print.
How you gonna let somebody lick your asshole and then fart in their face?
You dumb. And you snitching. You don't know if that's on the new special. You a snitch, boy.
Hey, man.
See, that's why you can't even tell them all your secrets.
It's 3 months later.
God damn.
If you trust a white man, that's your mistake. I don't know what in history would have taught you could do that.
I thought he was non-cisgendered. I don't know what I was thinking.
That's a whole cis man. It's sad, truly. You're gonna be cis and straight? Like, pick a struggle.
Yeah.
Hey, I am here for the black struggle. I have a certificate according to Cliff and his boys back in the day. Cliff, can you provide the certification number?
I'm gonna let you say that and just hope for the best for you.
And you're bald now, so that helps a bit. That helps a bit.
Oh, you know shit. Oh, goodness gracious. All right, we are at like an hour and a half. What else we got, or do we want to call it? We want to keep going? Sam did bring up a great idea.
What?
Around how to keep the show going, and I would love to do this for kind of like the last 20 minutes of the show. And it was to look up, what was it, sex education questions?
Yes,
or
there's
something on Reddit.
Subreddits that's like sex advice and shit like that.
And so the idea here, Cliff, was that Sam was going to look up sex advice questions on Reddit and then provide answers. And of course, we as the fools will also provide some foolish takes on that.
Oh no,
I want to hear y'all's answer.
Let's run a few.
I will be right back. Keep it going for a second.
Yeah, let's run a few. Give me.
Now I'm like, oh
one.
shit, I should have done this ahead of time.
It's all right. Just scroll through. Yeah, listen. But I
gotta get through the 15 pages of
all I'm
D&D
saying is they tuned in, so
homepage.
anything that I say, that's on y'all. Y'all didn't have to listen to my ignorant ass. So before she asks this question, tune out if you don't want to be offended, because I'm about to offend some shit.
Well, I mean, maybe. We have to see what it is.
Oh, I'm guaranteed going to offend some shit. I'm going to try at least.
Okay, that is all like very intense BDSM questions, and like
Yeah,
that's
we don't need to
don't
go
know
quite
about
that
that.
far, Sam.
That's
when
doing
you're
too much.
when
I'm
you're
like,
when you and Maddie are ready to start your
I'm
podcast.
sure I can tie a few.
Look,
I'm sure I can tie
I
a
would
few knots.
love to do a podcast with Maddie.
Cliff, that is
Would genuinely adore it.
we are trying to get a podcast on the network, and Sam's gonna have to be the one to reach out to Maddie, because I don't know that
word,
Maddie is gonna respond to me.
What he means is Mike is trying to trick me into starting a podcast.
Yes, I am.
Because of my enthusiasm to talk to Maddie about gender and sexuality.
I'll be one of y'all's ignorant guests.
I told them I would be off camera in the Zoom, just record everything for them.
And y'all can frame it real weird, like Maddie and the they.
Sam, what was the name we came up with? We came up with a good one for like you, Caleb, and Maddie to do a show.
I think it was.
It was something in the straight, like.
I think it was a girl, a guy, and a straight guy, or a girl, a guy, and a straight. I don't remember.
I wish I could remember.
I would definitely listen to that, though.
No doubt.
I would definitely. Caleb, Sam, and Maddie, I would definitely listen to that.
The only reason it gets awkward is like they're all related. That's the only thing that, it could get awkward. I understand, but sometimes it's hard to have those kind of conversations with people that you're related to.
What's that one dude's name with all the tattoos on his face? White dude that interviews all
MGK?
rappers.
No, who? I don't know.
You mean Post Malone?
Is it Post?
Nah.
Like what?
I can't think of his name, but I guess he's he does porn too. I don't know, but he has a new podcast where him and his girlfriend interview porn stars and fuck them on the show.
That's brilliant. Cliff, how do we start something like that?
It is. No, it's definitely brilliant.
Because I'm about to start my OnlyFans if I don't land a job here soon.
Listen. Fuck landing a job. I might have to start an OnlyFans with the motherfucking gig. I just can't claim it on my taxes.
That was the show idea from Superfan, was a cooking show where she also gave sex advice.
No, I'm very pro
a cooking
taxes.
show that gives sex advice.
Like
I don't know
technique.
if I want the two intermingled though.
Well, that's what makes it unique. It's a niche.
Is it? I like Hot Ones vibes.
Now, if she OnlyFans did to where they fucked first and then
made a meal,
and he was just in the bed like this.
Superfan, if you're out there, tell us if that's the plan.
And then she was just had her ass out in the back of her apron and just cooked the whole time. You'd have
What weird housewife porn are you all watching? I just watch porn where people choke each other like a normal human.
Right.
What
Right.
the fuck you're talking about?
They pass out and then they're
wake up.
all right.
Or wait.
He's stupid. I don't think the microphone picks up your two finger game.
All right, Sam. We have done all we can to stall for time. What do you got?
I found one, but I'm afraid it might be a little close to home.
All right, well, let's hear it.
Let's hear it.
All right. It says, my wife and I, late 30s/early 40s, have been married for over 10 years and have 2 great kids. We are in love and have a very happy, wonderful life. The issue is that my wife seems to be losing her interest in sex. I thought at her age it would be increasing. I am just not sure how to approach the topic. When I have before, she said that she needs it to be romantic, but I know that wasn't always the case. I try and help out with the romance, making her feel warm and comfortable, but sometimes I just want sex without the romance. It hasn't always been this way. When we were dating, romance was not important, but now for some reason it is to her, in parentheses, every time.
So that's
Wait, what? Read the last 2 lines. Would you say about now it wasn't, but now what?
He said, it hasn't always been this way. When we were dating, romance was not important, but now for some reason it is to her, with parentheses around it, that every time.
Because it's not romance, it's cocaine. No, that's the truth. It's cocaine.
This is a say more moment. I need context.
Not necessarily cocaine, but any drug. If you do any drug for so long, you need more or something bigger to get the vibe, the feel again. So it's not romance, because you could give your wife flowers and she doesn't reach an orgasm when y'all have sex after. You have to change it up. You have to put her in positions, and not always sexual positions, but positions where she's outside of her norm. You know what I'm saying?
I get
like
that.
Sometimes that sounds like, to me, like when you get to that point, like try some new shit.
Yeah.
Fucking a window. You know what I'm saying? Give her a feel like she's showing herself off, but you're still in the comforts of your own home to let her express herself in a different way, type shit.
And I agree with that. And as somebody who went through a very similar kind of conversation, etc., and unfortunately mine always ended in debate and always made me feel like it was my issue, not our issue. I think that it is an open conversation about, okay, what does that mean to you? Like, what does romance mean to you? No, but you have to. If you can't communicate, right? If you can't communicate,
say nothing. Turn around.
If you can't communicate it about it, it's never going to get better. Mm-hmm. And if she immediately becomes defensive, or you immediately become defensive around any conversation around this topic, y'all need therapy together.
Right.
That was our biggest mistake. I wanted to go to therapy. They didn't. So
should have caught it earlier.
Exactly. Right. And I think beyond that, it needs to be a give and take. So what does that look like to you? Can you help me understand, like, what does that mean to you? That was always my biggest issue in the last 3 to 4 years of my marriage was I said, like, I think romance is XYZ. What do you see it as?
Romance
and I
is
never
for the woman anyway.
And I never got an answer to that question though. And at that point I'm like, if you can't articulate what you need to me, there is nothing that I can do to make this better.
Should have gave her that Tim question. Fucked up.
All right, so from the person who's actually educated in this, Sam, what's your take?
Fuck her in the window.
There's a lot of takes. I have a lot of thoughts. One, sometimes men also like romance, and sometimes women don't like romance.
True.
Romance is not for women. It's for people who prefer intimacy with emotions in their sex, which can be people of any gender.
I
had to be that person. It's just who I am. I'm sorry.
No, you know what? That's funny that you. It's so fucking funny that you just said that.
Forever be that bitch.
Because that was the first thing that you said all episode. That was like that fit perfectly. Like I get exactly what she said. Like hey, I'm not saying what you said before didn't fit, but it fit in my mind. Why you said people. Listen, we may be making progress, baby.
Growth. But you both said like very good things that I agree with completely. Like both of those things need.
Hey, fools agree.
The fools agree. You guys crushed it because you do need to communicate what that looks like. Like that was also going to be the first thing I said. Ask, because maybe romance to you and romance to her are different. If you guys show your love in different ways, then you may not even realize that what you're trying to do to show your love is not getting through to her as that.
Right.
Because you're doing that in different ways. So discuss together what romance means to you. Make lists of, like, both of you go to separate spaces and make a list of, do not want to try, I hate this, hard no, this is terrible, this is kind of intriguing, I already know I love this. And that has to do with sex, kissing, dates,
it's the foreplay that leads up to it. Like, foreplay, right, if you're doing it correctly, is a little bit of a 24/7 thing. Like, you've got to be able to, and that's where I struggled in my marriage, was like getting the coffee, sending flowers, like those kind of things throughout the day, and that wouldn't yield what I wanted at the end of the day. And so, you know what? After 3 years of doing that shit, I stopped doing it. And that, of course, just impacted the cycle and made it worse. But, like, if it goes unreciprocated for so long, like, that's where the point around communication, like, it's got to be a two-way street. Like, you need me to do X, and I would like for you to do Y. And if you can't both agree on what those things are, like, it's not going to get better.
That is also the thing I was going to say, is, like, communication is really good and can also break your heart, because sometimes you find out that things just do not align and you have to decide to make a difficult decision either way, because you're either going to lose somebody you love very dearly because in the long run you'll both be happier separated, or you can keep someone who loves you with you and miss, like, something that matters a lot to you and is important to you.
Right.
And, like, that sucks that that's the decision, but sometimes that's a decision. And the only way you know that is through those conversations.
Right.
So, like, make the lists of, hey, I want to try this, I hate this. Okay, see where shit lines up. And then, like Cliff said, go explore those things. Yeah. Try new things, try new activities, have some foreplay, like, discuss what foreplay you like. Because I know in my previous relationship with a man, which I'm sure for
you're supposed to cough when you
the foreplay I got was like somebody walking up and touching my boob. Like, from that I'm just like, okay, this doesn't exactly make me want this to happen. Like, what, I have laundry in my hand, like, I'm doing things.
Right.
If you want help, like, if you want to help me put laundry away, that might get me wet, but, like, this is not doing it.
But your boobs are available.
See, but I tried, but I see, and where I struggle is, I tried grabbing the ass, I tried helping and folding the laundry, I tried bringing her something that she needed while she was doing that, and none of it worked. Like, yeah. And again, my biggest issue with the end of my marriage was, and I've said this, like, my spouse could not articulate their needs back to me in a way that translated into action. It was, I need loyalty, I need emotional intimacy. I'm like, what does that look like to you? Because in my mind, I'm doing those things. So I need help. And then I was told, well, you should be able to figure it out. No, obviously I fucking can't, because we're here.
People really just expect their partners to be just full-on psychics in a way that is so dangerous. And they'll just, well, I'm upset because you didn't do this thing I wanted. Right. Oh, did you ask me and I forgot? Well, no, but I shouldn't have to. Just like, okay, well, how am I supposed to know that you would like me to come home instead of hanging out with my friends tonight because you miss me? If you don't say, hey, I'd like to spend this time with you tonight, could you maybe leave there a little earlier than you were planning to come see me?
Right.
Like, things like that are very frustrating communication-wise. And, like, when people have different ways of communicating,
well, it
can be very difficult to have those conversations.
And it's funny because this conversation has come up recently for me where I'm like, I prefer relationships with other people that are poly, consensual, non-monogamous, whatever you want to call it, because generally speaking, they've learned how to communicate better. And I'm not saying that can't happen in a monogamous relationship. It can. My experience has not been that.
I think it's that you have to communicate well.
Right. It's a requirement
to be successful, but you don't necessarily have to communicate well for a monogamous relationship to be what appears to the outside world
To
as
be successful.
because you stay together and, you know.
Well, shit, Sam, maybe
You're
you and I
happy
will do
married
this
people.
podcast if we can't convince Maddie.
Because I mean, it's very real. It's a very real issue. It's really tricky though, specifically when it comes to sex, because no one has a right to another person's body. Obviously, I don't think either of you think that, but sometimes it just needs to be restated. So, like you said, like, oh, I would do these things, and I would kind of want things reciprocated. But you also know that women
That's
are
not
not
a
like
requirement.
vending machines you put flowers into until pussy pops out.
Right.
So, like, it is a matter
Are
of
you
like.
not though?
I mean, to be honest, I am, but women are not.
But at the same time, my point on all of that piece of it, Sam, is that as a partner, as somebody that you have agreed to have that life with, if you've chosen to be in that monogamous relationship or you've chosen to be in that committed relationship, more to the point, if your partner's needs aren't being met, you either need to be willing to meet them or allow them to have those needs met elsewhere. Otherwise, that is not a relationship. It is not a partnership.
To say, I mean, I agree with that. That's one of the reasons I'm polyamorous.
Right.
But also, what my point kind of was going to be is that it is always okay to say no to sex, and it is always okay for somebody to say no to you for sex. Once again, I know you both know that, but
yeah,
people be struggling. But it is also another person's like totally reasonable and valid for somebody to say, hey, I care about you, but my sex life is important to me. And like sexual activity is important to me. So if that is not something you're interested in, I don't think this relationship is going to work.
Right.
People, and I mean, this was literally my last relationship and why it broke up. People will give up their own needs. And I am so guilty of doing this, of being like, well, I like this person, so I'll just go without. I just won't worry about it.
4 years,
I'll just,
4 years, I gave up my needs.
Yeah, motherfuckers
And
is stupid.
And eventually you self-destruct.
And Cliff, guess what? You're right. It was stupid.
Yeah, I agree.
But you don't see that you're doing that. You're told, like, well, relationships are work and things are hard. And instead of somebody just being like, actually, we just didn't get divorces because women couldn't own property or have control of their own money.
Well,
and now that we can, we're like, oh, we're getting out of here.
Yeah,
and
the other
also
side
don't have to feel like they're leaving their wife destitute with no options that way either.
And that's also the flip side is it's also different when you have kids. Like you stay together for the children, and outside of that, like I, exactly what you just said, Sam. Like throughout the dissolution process, I knew I was giving up more than I needed to, or I had to. But I did it because out of that like respect and out of wanting what was best for my kid. So like her acknowledging that she was done was enough for me to turn around within 24 hours and say, I'm done, here's the paperwork.
Well, when it's also just a matter of like we get taught so intensely, we're on this like, the relationship fucking escalator where this is what you do. And this is what it is. And if you love each other, you'll work through anything and you have to be with this person forever. Instead of just acknowledging, no matter what relationship style you have, people come in and out of our lives at the time that they do.
Yep.
And that is not going to be forever all the time. And that's okay. And like, it's okay to break up.
And it is very,
that's like the worst thing possible.
Right. And it is very hard for two people to grow and evolve in the same direction forever.
Any two people.
Right.
Any two. Yeah. Literally any two people.
Right. All right. This one hit. You were right, Sam. That one hit a little close to home. So
that's what I was like.
What else you got? You got any other ones?
Very clearly.
You got any other ones out there?
I didn't even. I literally stopped looking.
All right. Well, in the future, Sam, when you start your own podcast, we'll gather
already
the
had
questions
That was a
beforehand.
sex ed question?
It was
Relationship
a sex
advice.
question.
Advice.
Okay. Okay.
Sex ed questions range because sexuality is so intertwined in all aspects of our life. The 7 circles of sexuality, look it up, it's real cool. Because it is so entrenched in so many aspects of our life, even if you're not actively having sex at that time, it affects everything. So you get questions from, can I get pregnant from swallowing cum, to like, how do I safely leave my abusive partner? Like,
I guess the best question would be, how do you not get pregnant from swallowing?
I mean, it's very easy to not get pregnant swallowing cum. As long as you used a condom if it was at any point in your vaginal canal.
Use the... Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. You added that last little information.
We don't... No pull-out game, kids. I don't care how strong a pull-out game is. 1, you're older than you think, and it's not that strong. 2, it's not gonna work.
Are you fucking
Let that
serious?
one sperm in there. You fucked up so hard.
Are you fucking serious?
Hey, Cliff.
The only thing you need to worry about is if I throw off your pH balance with this smoke bomb. Because I'm out of there like a fucking ninja. Do you hear what I'm saying?
Hey, Cliff. I'm not going to Takashi you, but you should be careful in this conversation. I have awareness.
No, that's different.
All I'm saying is,
you can't.
Pull-out method is not foolproof. Please also be using birth control of other varieties, or like do what I did and just get your uterus removed. 10 out of 10 would recommend.
The pull-out method doesn't work when they're on top.
There you go.
I don't care how many smoke bombs you got.
Yeah, no, that's how gravity works. That makes sense.
Oh, snap.
But,
Y'all, use protection, pee after sex. If I can just give everybody that advice every single day. Always use protection, pee after sex.
there's nothing wrong with the plan B.
But
true.
you should also have a plan A. Plan B is when plan A fails.
Maybe
not
plan B is your
because I
plan
threw
A.
plan A in the trash. That's expensive. That sounds... I ain't got $500 to give to Planned Parenthood. Do you?
Well, that's a plan C.
That's my plan A.
That's a plan C. You know what I'm saying? The first plan should be $40.
The first plan should be 50 cents in a fucking vending machine in the gas station bathroom. I don't recommend those condoms, though. You really should be getting things that are ribbed and lubricated and, make sure.
I recommend Skin. Skin is actually a good brand. If you haven't tried Skin, recommend it.
I have not done anything with someone who had a penis in a while, so.
SKYN for any cis males out there that are looking for a decent protection. It actually is not bad.
She's gonna swipe right anyway. It don't say if you cisgendered on your profile pic. She missed it.
Oh no! And then of course the REITs chiming in with, depends on what else you're doing while swallowing. Thanks, Mom. Appreciate that.
That's true. You might need somebody to have pull-out game behind you while the person in front of you. Like you're having more fun than me. Get it?
All right, Sam. What other questions do we got? Or are we gonna shut this down?
Gangster.
I literally already gave up.
You gave up.
Phone's down.
All right. All right. Well, Sam, anything to say to the listeners before we close it out here?
Not really. I said all my things.
Check your pronouns.
Wear condom. Use they them. I was really hoping,
or at least
would
carry
correct,
some smoke bombs.
Correct Cliff in the chat because he was gendered me like 5 times.
I heard it. I almost did.
I understand.
You use she instead of they or them.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Or her
I
instead of
had
they.
a problem last time you were there.
At some point, that's on me too, because I just think I've had
You know, I be trying.
I do.
Well, and I think you did better. You did better early on, and then as the show went on, I think things happened. So
I think other activities were making
that
it.
Terramana ain't as good as that Casamigo. That's all that is. Fuck you, Rock. George Clooney all day.
What do you got, Cliff?
Love everybody. He, she's, theys, thems, we's, and wases.
New neo pronouns just dropped.
Love it.
If y'all add them, I'm done with you, Sam.
Just wait.
y'all
I'm
add
gonna send
any
you an email
pronouns.
with 15 different sets of
I'm
neo
done
pronouns.
with
There are already
under my name.
there are
It's
already
gonna say puppy/boy.
if we
I'm
have to add any more fields to my goddamn job applications, I'm gonna lose my mind.
I'm done. I put a whole page, there's a whole page on gender, and you like, God damn it! I thought references was next. God damn.
Do us a favor, if you're out there, like, subscribe, share, all
You don't
that
even know
good
what
stuff.
you do.
I don't
Tell
know.
a friend to tell a friend, tell the enemy, tell them motherfuckers the troll.
And if you want to see a show with Sam doing sex advice, relationship advice, etc., drop it in the comments so I can convince Sam that they need to do a show. So
or
appreciate
tune
it.
in to her Apple
their
eye drop. that's posted.
Apple eye drop there.
Oh, I'm sorry. Tune in to their Apple eye drop that we plugged up under their bumper. And you may hear some regular old conversation that helps out.
Context.
That's all we got. Peace out, fools.
What's that, an air tag?